Hi, everyone. I'm trying to figure out how to use Zoom, so I apologize for a little unsteady kind of presentation. My name is Shirley Lynn Kinoshita, and I was baptized in a disciple church many years ago, 1978, in Downers Grove, Illinois. And one of the people who also comes from Downers Grove, Illinois, is the president of our denomination. Teresa Hord Owens was a pastor there after I left. So that's a little interesting tidbit of my history. So, what I'm going to do today is do an presentation of things I have created for the church and my community over about 40 years. 1978 is a little over 40 years. So, I think I really started to produce a lot more after I became a Christian. Now, I don't know if it was God's doing or whatever it was, but I didn't start life as a Christian, of course. I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii in 1942, and I had a very early uh, inclination toward art. My parents were immigrants. There were very few materials, toys, or anything like that in our home because they had put all their energies just to survive. So I used to, even when I was about 2 or 3, I was attracted to paper and pencil. And the only paper and pencil available was, when you look at a book and there are some blank pages. Guess what? Those blank pages got all filled with stick figures. So early on, I had an interest in art. So over the years, I was able to use my skills. And I think one of the things about the word talent, in the Bible, it means kind of a type of money, but most people think of talents as some ability. And if you look up the word talent, it means a natural ability or proclivity toward a certain skill. So that's a really broad definition of talent. In my case, it is the visual arts that I have seemed to have a talent for. So by the time I was 5, I was winning awards. I drew this big yellow blob and it won an art contest. It was supposed to be a chick. Well, in any case, over the years, I've been able to use my art. So, the way I've set up this webinar, and thank you for joining me. I'm very honored that you're listening. I hope to meet some of you afterwards. So the way I've set up the webinar is the first hour will be devoted to some of the things I did over the years. I'm still doing art, so I'll show you a few pieces that I've been working on. And it seems as though the pull of art and using it for God and for good, for me, it's very evident. I feel good when I do things for the church. And every once in a while, people pay me for doing churchy type things, but I'll explain that as we go along. So let's start the program. The first hour, as I said, is the presentation. The second half hour is a time when you can ask me questions, ask me anything except for money, maybe. Okay, let's get started. So, art and faith, using your talents for God and for good. So, I just wanted to mention I have a website. It's called American Sumie. Sumie is a Japanese word meaning ink painting. Sumi is the ink. E means painting. So American Sumie. So what it is, I have done many types of artwork, but you'll see that some of it doesn't even look like artwork, but I'll explain as I go. So the second thing on this page is my blog, Sumie blog at WordPress, and it's little impressions of kinds of works I do. And actually, the last couple of years have been actually like how I express faith with my art. So if you're interested in art and faith, this blog really kind of shows a little bit of the artist's thinking and promptings. And there's my website if you want to contact me anytime. And I am so grateful to the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, Northern California, Nevada, for hosting this webinar. I want to especially thank the ministry assistant, Jim Thomas, who has been gracious enough to help me rehearse some of this program so I knew what I was doing. So thank you, Jim, and thank you to the church. Oh, this is I added a few art things since this is supposed to be art. So here's a lotus, and there's an explanation about the sacred lotus in many religions, but interestingly enough, not Christians. So I wanted to quote someone who we all know, Chadwick Boseman, passed away recently from cancer. He was in his mid 40s, and everyone was shocked because he was our Captain Marvel, and he was the Black Panther, and he represented the most talented young people in the acting profession. So what he had to say at one point is, when I stand before God at the end of my life, I would hope that I would not have a single bit of talent left and could say I used everything you gave me. I thought that was a very profound quote from him, because he did reach the end of his life. And I think maybe God at this point is, well done, good and faithful servant. This is a photo of me doing a demonstration at a local senior center. There's some examples of my art behind that. So I just add a little art so that it's not just text that you're looking at. I'm very visual. So where are we? This is an example of a Sumier painting that I did. It's on my website. And I wanted to quote something from Ephesians 2:10.
Shirley,
Yes?
I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Oh, really? Let's go back here and hold on. Can you hear me though?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, good thing you said something, Jim. I'm like flying blind. Hold on here. Let me get back into the Zoom site. And hold on. Jim, I need to get back into the page that has, oh, here it is. Share screen. Oh, I think I see what I did wrong. I didn't do an extra step. Thanks for letting me know, Jim.
Okay,
Isn't
you're
he
good to go
valuable?
now.
Phew.
You just need to bring up your presentation. We see your desktop. We just need to see your presentation now.
Okay, hold on. All right. So this is the first page. I've just talked about that for those of you who are here. I'm not sure how many people are here since I can't see that, but Jim knows. Jim knows everything. Thank God for Jim. And the second page was what I quoted Chadwick Boseman. The third page, I just got started with the third page. One of the favorite things I love to do is to combine artwork with Bible verses. And here is Ephesians. Can you see Ephesians? Hold on. Is that better? A larger screen. So here is a Sumier painting I did many years ago. And I just wanted to quote, hold on, I have to move my, whoops, hold on here. For we are God's handiworks, created by Jesus Christ to do good works, which God prepared us in advance for us to do. So what does that mean? It means that you have, all of you have natural talents and abilities that God gave you in advance to do. Got it? Okay. Oh, time for questions after this presentation. So I wanted to start with the big picture, things I did that were one of a kind. Okay. This is kind of a weirdly organized presentation, by the way. So you see that art in the park banner that's over 8 lanes of traffic in my hometown? I pretty much did it by myself, except I didn't do the banner thing. It was the city of Cupertino offered the league, the Fine Arts League, which is a local nonprofit um, organization for artists. They offered to put a banner of our annual Art in the Park. So they provided the big banner material and the grommets, and they were going to put it up. So I sure wouldn't have wanted the job of putting that banner up over this highway. So I did the banner, and here's another photo of it. So at the time, I think it was the early 1980s, and this was a big event for the Fine Arts League. So as you can see, this is not real typical art stuff, right? But it is big. And I would have asked for help, except that I ended up with emergency surgery. I had a hysterectomy that was not expected, so I had to crawl over this banner. I hadn't healed that fast. And so the whole deadline for this thing got messed up. So I ended up pretty much doing this myself, crawling around on my driveway with this big banner on the floor of the driveway. So I'm a real stickler for deadlines. So so it got up there before September when it was supposed to have the event. I think it was scheduled for a certain time. So here is another very familiar, see that church rummage sale sign in yellow? It's in front of the church I went to for many years, First Christian in San Jose. And of course, it humbly advertises a rummage sale and the stuff is being put out. So I did a much smaller banner for the church, and the churchmen, I think, put up the banner. I'm not much for climbing high places, but I did do the banner. So this is a modest, I can't remember who provided the materials. I might have, because I have a grommet making set. I have done everything, some things from scratch. I make the banner, I paint the banner, etc. So this is one of a kind banner art. Now this one is done for a Lutheran church, St. John's Lutheran in Sunnyvale. Every year has something called a junk sale, and they wanted a banner. They didn't have a banner, so they asked me to paint one for them. And so it's between, they have a corner lot, so they had not very much space to put any banner, so they decided to put it there. I charged them, I think, $70. I don't know if that's considered a lot of money. I guess it was whatever the grade was, because it's not a disciple class. Anyway, they raised that year $3,100, which was an all-time high. And the person who organized it, this was on behalf, the money goes to Sunnyvale Fish. I don't know if you know what Sunnyvale Fish is, but I used to drive members in my community to doctor's appointments. And that was one of Sunnyvale Fish's functions, is to provide services for the elderly and the infirm and so forth. So I used to belong to Sunnyvale Fish, so it's not a big stretch. So they raised a lot of money, and they said some of it was because there was a banner finally that advertised their annual event. So I went there not too many years ago, and that junk sale banner was still being used. I am shocked. that they've used it for so long, but it's only up for a week because it says Saturday, right? So you can't have it 2 Saturdays ahead. So you have to have it 1 Saturday ahead. So it kind of lasted like a long time. Here is a very large piece I did on, this is like board. And it was for a Presbyterian church. I live in the South Bay in Cupertino, and Sunnyvale is right next door. So I met women through the Church Women United of the South Bay area, and this one of the members wanted me to do this big fourfold sign for a national fundraising finance drive for the United Presbyterian Women of USA. So um, I kind of developed the whole concept with her. I knew she told me what she wanted, but we had to visualize it, and she was very pleased with the results. I have no idea how much money was made, but it became something that went across the country, I guess, and was used to raise money. So I think I did charge her because it's quite a lot of work to create something. It's big. It's like 15, well, maybe 10 feet across. Anyway, whatever. So this blue chalice and the bread, it's an airbrush. So at the time I was taking art classes and I learned how to do airbrush. You know, like those graffiti artists who kind of like go on the freeway and do their art thing. Airbrush, same thing. So this is First Christian Church again in San Jose. They're celebrating their 125th anniversary. So I created this banner for that location. This church recently celebrated their 150th anniversary and changed their name. First Christian Church is now called Urban Sanctuary. And this hall that you're looking at with all the people enjoying the munchies and celebrating is now called the Recovery Cafe and Addiction Recovery Program that was incorporated into First Christian's programs. So it's completely changed, and that's what life is all about, change. So I hope I'm not boring you. Oh, I put this in specifically because it's voting time, right? So I had this yellow Hornet station wagon that I completely covered with a theme on voting for the League of Women Voters in Cupertino, Sunnyvale, and it was my Volkswagen. And you can see there's a ballot box on top of the Volkswagen. So I had to, of course, fit it so that it looked like, you know, it belonged together. So this is my attempt at patriotism and doing good for the community. At that time, I was a member of the League of Women Voters. I was a member of the League for many years. When I lived in Connecticut, I first became a member. And then I was a member in Illinois, Downers Grove, Illinois, where I was baptized. And this is League of Women Voters in California. So don't forget to vote. Oh, this was at a town parade. So this rather unattractive mural that it doesn't show well because my photo is completely faded. This was this is the most I was ever paid for an art piece. I was taking classes at De Anza College, I was working half-time in the library, and it was a temporary position. Someone was on sick leave, and I decided to take art classes at De Anza College. So I learned to airbrush. This is an airbrush mural that was done as a commission in someone's home in Sunnyvale. It's actually a half bath in a residence in Sunnyvale. And the owners, they have this rec room down below their home at this first level. And they had this huge bank vault door that you had to open you know, like banks, the old ones are very heavy bank door, and behind that bank door was a half bath, and they wanted it to look like the inside of an old time bank. So they commissioned me to create this thing, this old time bank inside of their half bath with a bank door as their, you know. So I created this. It's the angles are really hard because it was a very small bath, and they had a, of course, there was a toilet there and a sink, and so they asked me, what do we do with this toilet to fit it in the theme? And I said, put the sign on top of the cover and say for deposit only. I don't know if they ever did that, of course, but I did a kind of a preliminary sketch before they approved it. And I made this little bank teller look, he kind of looks like the owner. He's looking at a check, my check, by the way, which he paid me $500 for. It took 8 hours. This is all airbrush. Remember those people who do the graffiti art in the freeway? They too could be making big bucks if they just had the contacts. This contact came from De Anza College's my art teacher, actually, Sal Pecoraro. I was one of his favorite students because I was so reliable. My homework was always on time. So anyway, Sal and I got along famously. I was in my early 40s already. I was kind of old to be a student, especially an art student, but it was fun. I highly recommend that you hone your talents, whatever they are. So in 2007, I was going to a Nazarene church. Sorry, disciples. It just happened to be in my neighborhood and it seemed like a good idea at the time. So I went there for quite a few years. My husband actually was one of the financial treasurers of that church. So one of the projects was they built a new social hall educational center building. And the Bible study teacher, Carol Van Buskirk, asked me if I would paint something for the women's bathroom. So these are, oh, what do you know, Bible verses with a floral theme in a women's bathroom. So I did some other things there. I also put another message in the social hall. I don't really remember. It wasn't a Bible passage, so what? Who cares? But Carol Van Busker was an amazing Bible study teacher. Wonderful person. Gorgeous too. Redhead. Look her up. Gorgeous. Okay. I am having, oops. We're no longer doing one of a kind anymore, but now we're doing things that are fit to print. And this is actually closer to the church art thingy. So here is a graphic design I did that became posters, flyers, program covers, inside the cover, booklet, you know, there were all these little images of a clown and the balloons. And the theme was God within. I think the scripture verse says, behold, the kingdom of God is within you. So at that time in the disciples church, there was a clown ministry actually. There were women running around like clowns, and anyway, it was kind of a fun time. So I created the theme for this. This was all done, by the way, before computers. This is the early 1980s. Um, Computers were not that familiar to people. I had just started using it myself. I started by working as a temp, an office temp at the Silicon Valley high-tech companies. And I could type really fast. Librarians, yes, I'm a librarian, can type a lot because we used to type those little library cards and put them in the catalogs. So I had really good typing skills, which was very useful in the computer industry because that QWERTY keyboard is the same as a typewriter. Okay, so here's a poster that's sort of the symbol. So this was all done, like I think I hand lettered that Mission Springs and the next line. So a lot of this stuff was either paste on letters or I had done it from scratch. So that was a lot of work. I don't recommend it. Just use Adobe Photoshop, whatever, which I haven't learned, by the way. So here's the inside of the same God Within theme. And so it combines music and theme, and, you can combine a lot of stuff with visual arts. So here's another theme, another year. This was the annual meeting of all things in 1984. And let's see if I can move I don't know if I can move this image, sort of blocking. Oh, well. So Jeremiah 31:7, proclaim, give praise, and say, the pomegranate is a very familiar fruit in the Bible. So this is the fruit bursting forth with seed to be, eventually become more pomegranate plants. So it's sort of like new church ministry, revisited in a visual way. So I really spent a lot of time doing these because that's me doing what is the little pointy dots there. I put everyone in myself. Um, there are much easier ways now. When I first gave this idea to the committee, there was a biologist on the planning committee, and he said, "Your fruit is upside down. Fruit doesn't, Pomegranates don't grow that way." So I had to redo the whole thing so that it looked natural. So, artists, if you're smart, you listen to the expert, you listen to the scientists, listen to science. Actually, listen to the doctors too. I'll get to that in a part of my program later. So here's another thing which is completely different. It's very kind of stylistically modern because it goes with the message, which has been stylishly modernized Bible verse. The word became flesh and pitched a tent among us, John 1:14. So this one was an art technique that I really enjoyed doing. It's really, really easy if you know what you're doing. So um, it was kind of a little unconventional because usually the chalice is red and the theme is red, but it was kind of a pinky chalice that year. Must be some female did it. So I should check my time that I don't go over. Oh, plenty of time. So here's another. This is Mission Spring Church Women's Fellowship again. Actually, it could have been a good annual gathering type theme. So, Jubilee is a time to proclaim. And so those the horns blaring. And I wanted to show this little thing that was in the booklet because what it combines is the visual image plus a poem that was written by one of the church members. So, each enhances the other and works together. And that's what God wants of us. He wants us to work together and enhance so that his kingdom and glory will be realized. So, Jubilee indeed. Okay, this is probably one of the last things I did for the regional church. Um, okay, let me go backwards a little. All those artwork that I did for all those past events, the way I was paid in quotes, was I usually was given free housing and free registration for the event. So um, I usually took advantage of that and did. I went to Asilomar one year, and I went quite often to Mission Springs. This event in Modesto, I never did make this event. I had some other commitment. I think I got hired for another job or something as a librarian. sometimes people forget all this stuff is actually done by a librarian. Yeah. So in Modesto of that year, they had asked me again to do the art piece, and it was, I guess, made in God's image, and it is very good. So I did the artwork for them, but I never did go to that event because I couldn't make it that year. So they were kind of grateful that I was still willing to do this. But after that, I really could not. I became a part-time librarian, and that was kind of demanding it because it was at a hospital. Remember, I said medical. I respect medical people and scientists. There we go. Before we leave, this is a First Christian Church San Jose used to have a Scottish country dance society that we would practice at the church social hall, which is now a addiction recovery cafe. I created this little flyer for people to come to it. It was the Christmas tea with the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society and the Scottish Highland Dancers. The fact that I am Chinese American is no barrier to my using plaid if I need to. I try to keep it accurate and appropriate. And that's the secret too, to good works. Oops. This one was some kind of men's or ministry, or a ministry to develop disciples in the regional church. And the thing was Bud, better understanding of disciples. So they wanted a logo. A logo is if you see it like, say, Coca-Cola or, um, you know, a Cadillac, they have this image, or a Jaguar. They have this image that you instantly recognize. So they wanted something that was recognizable. So the chairman of the Bud committee said to me, I need a logo that describes Bud. Just don't put in a beer can. I said, yes, sir. I did not use a beer can. I put a bud there. And you know that bud? You know what it is? I happen to have this book on Japanese family crests. You know, the English have that, and the Scottish have that, and the Japanese have that too. I don't think Chinese have crests, but it's like a family crest. And there was this crest that looked just like a bud. And I said, what the heck? I'm going to borrow this bud for you. On we go. So here's the bud with the little brochure they put together. I also sew. So I sewed a banner for Christmas. Only one I think I've ever done. It's quite large, and it's not being used because it's too much trouble for the current church at Rainer Park to put it up. You need one of those cats, and you need something that can put it up high. So anyway, it's I had fun making this banner with all kinds of fabrics. So I do weird things, and sometimes I don't charge, period, which is okay. And if they don't use it, that's okay too. So I have a singing group that I actually founded in 2005 called the Raging Brownies of San Jose. So I made this banner for the group, and it folds really small and can be taken anywhere. And there's a whole bunch of us, about 8 of us, that sing at different events like the Women's March. I think there were like 30,000 people. We were on stage, the Women's March 3 years ago. They just had it again, but they didn't invite us. Is that because we have no singing ability? Maybe so. I don't know. But I do banners too, like this, cloth sewn. Okay, so if you ever want to hire a singing group for free, we do songs of social significance. So we were doing quite a few of RBG. Is that right? Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We have a lot of songs about her. So I'm going to switch over to small business. If any of you are interested in helping small businesses, there are many opportunities. For example, at your favorite restaurant, at your favorite hair barber, hair salon, places like that. If you look at their signs, most of them are dreadful, handwritten, faded, da 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 da. I work with small businesses. I would give it a little more professional look, these signs that deal with COVID. So I think I got a lot of these jobs when I was working, going to school at the ANSA from the, either from my faculty members or from the job opportunities department of the school. So I think this one came from the job opportunities department of the school. Um, uh, this small travel agency in San Jose wanted a logo, like big shot. People pay millions for the right logo. Apple, Google, whatever. So this little business, the owner, Bevan Smith, wanted one that kind of showed what they did, plus their company name. So I said, Beverly, what do you want to show? And she said, well, something that kind of indicates travel and going around the world and having, and I said, what else is it that you like? You know, a kind of image. And she says, well, I like butterflies. So I created this globe, the butterfly kind of circling it, and the word Travel Plus, which is their company name. And I said, I don't know if you noticed, Beverly, but G-O is what it spells. Go. They loved it. They loved this logo. So Beverly created all the letterhead, the envelopes, the business cards, this little brochure for itineraries for their customers, all in pink. Now, her son, Stephen, I don't think he's a pink kind of guy. So I don't know if you can see, but in the top right corner, that's his card. It's gray. Smart guy. So, so at one time I was into making logos. All started with Bud. So here's another one. I was working at a data entry company at the time, and I met this printer, and he wanted a business card. And so he lived in San Francisco, and I was working in Mountain View, so it was a little bit difficult. Internet email was not that common back then. So he sent me a letter, and I showed the letter. He sent me a photograph of flamingos. He wanted a flamingo on his business card. So I created this flamingo with the name he wanted, Flamingo Enterprises. I would say that Flamingo Enterprise indicates that he's a little bit more ambitious than just being a printer. So, but he loved this card. And why not? It had his favorite bird, a flamingo. So I thought that was turned out pretty well. Okay. So I've done like big posters for signing in things for small business people who wanted to be in the sports world. On the right, I worked, remember I said some time back, I worked at the Silicon Valley companies. This one, I was working part-time as a temp office worker at Signetics, and they were having a quality assurance poster contest. And actually, I don't qualify to be in that contest because I'm a temp worker, but one of the people in that company said she wanted me to do the art and she would submit it and we would jointly submit it together. And what do you know? The thing won first place. It's called Quality. See the Q? You see the koala? So cute. Anyway, so I do goofy things for good causes. This one, did you remember I said I got a part-time job around 1988 or 87 in a hospital? Well, this is actually the Santa Clara Valley Medical Center, um, also known as Santa Clara Valley Health and Hospital System, which includes public health and psychiatric health, psychiatric care and all kind, and methadone clinic. It's huge. It's a county hospital, and I worked there as a half-time medical librarian. Uh, I was asked by one of the doctors if I could do the artwork for a pamphlet he was producing on patient education. Dr. Paul Hensley is an OBGYN, was a OBGYN, and he was actually world famous. He was faculty at Stanford as well as at the hospital. And he had created this interesting um, kind of lower body outfit that regulated the blood pressure on pregnant women so that it would avoid excessive bleeding. I mean, it was like this interesting kind of procedure. And he had to explain it to his patients, and many of his patients had limited language skills. And so he actually, the brochures I have, one's in English and one's in Spanish. So I have it in, I looked him up today. Dr. Hensley retired the same year I did, 2000, but he passed away in 2007, I believe. Dr. Hensley was actually world famous. He went to many countries, and his purpose was to prevent serious complications for pregnant women. So he went to many countries as a medical mission, on medical missions for the Presbyterian Church. He was actually very well known in the medical field as well as being in medicine. When I met him and did this for him, this project for him, he said he was going to go to China that year. And he showed me a little business card that had one side was in English and the other side was in Chinese. And there was a little logo thing. It was actually this, it's the Chinese word for love, I. But instead of the regular characters, inside the character of love was this mother and child image. It was fascinating. So it was a privilege to work with Dr. Hensley. And I was thinking, now, how did the heck did he know that this librarian did art? So the only way I can figure it out is that I eventually became the department manager. And before, I don't have the picture, but I did a little flyer inviting everybody to my boss's retirement party, and I had illustrated it. It shows her working hard, books, to the ceiling, working on her computer, and then a scene of her taking a nap and having a little suitcase that said have time, will travel. So anyway, maybe he saw that. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, I got paid for this. And it wasn't much, but it was fun. So here's another one I did for actually I knew this nurse through the church. And she asked me to do a fourfold, it's actually 8 sides folder for a annual meeting of the Golden Gate Nurse Practitioners Association in San Francisco. So this was I just did the artwork. I didn't do all the typing and the writing because I think they hired a graphics person to do that. So they told me what they wanted, and then I drew what I thought they wanted. So who knows? I think it turned out okay. Remember, my degree is in library science. I do have an AA degree in fine arts from De Anza College. So I did teach off and on. This class for 3 to 4 year olds, it was like my first time ever teaching such a young age. And what do you know, if two of the mothers who came with their children who were just screaming and crying said to me, "Oh, my friend is from Paris, France. She's an art teacher and she'd like to know, watch your technique and see how you work with such young children." I said, "Oh, give me a break here. I'm not even ready to teach anybody this young." But anyway, it turned out fun. Everybody had fun with that class. And I've taught pretty much all ages. So I decided to show you. I got a grant from the city of Cupertino to teach art and crafts at a convalescent home. And this is one of the students and her artwork. And then we did an art show at the end and we had a party and it was a blast. So I continue to do demonstrations for the annual Cupertino Cherry Blossom Festival, which is now 30 years or so. I haven't been there that long, but I do demonstrations of all ages. And you can see most of the kids on the right here are kind of young. So I'm used to kids now. I'm used to older people. Oh, I had forgotten I put a new flyer. So there's kind of a different way to look at art. I actually volunteered to serve on the city's Fine Arts Commission. Yes, there is such a thing. There are people who volunteer for, like, traffic commission or transportation and Parks and Rec and planning. So anyway, I volunteered for the Fine Arts Commission, and what the other people in the commission were. Let's see, there was a lady who did videos on cooking Indian food, and then there was a person who was an interior decorator. I was pretty much the only person who did art. I mean, real art. So one year the annual Shakespeare in the Park. This is 2003, I see. They wanted me to do the theme being love's labor loss that year. So I did this. I'm not really that fond of it, but they gave me the T-shirt and the little canvas bag and whatever other kind of merchandise that went with promoting the Shakespeare in the Park. So you can do kind of interesting things in interesting ways. I also have an art exhibit, which is kind of difficult to put together. This is before I put it on the walls of the library in San Francisco. It's still there. I need to take it down one of these days, but it does show examples of some of the work I do. I wanted to show you this because there has been a lot of discussion about public art sculpture, especially of Confederate heroes and other people who have a little bit spotty and unsavory past. One of the jobs of the Fine Arts Commission was to select public art sculpture. And this is the one, it's called Perspective, stainless steel, 20 feet in diameter, that we selected the years I served. Um, it has a very interesting history, this very modern piece. You can see it on the internet. It's right downtown in Cupertino, and the busiest, it's on Stevens Creek and Dianza Boulevard. It's like right in the center of town. And it started out as a contest, an art contest. And this artist was selected, his piece was selected. It was some kind of clock that was supposed to go on the lawn of the park, but they changed everything in the park, the dimensions, the style, so that original design could not be used. So he had to come up with new ideas. He brought over all these different ideas, and one of them was this really stunning stainless steel piece, nothing like the clock thing that he had before. And I said to my fellow commissioners, I said, looking at it one way, it's shaped like a diamond. And then you look at it another way, if you go around, it looks like the number 8. And it just, has many different kinds of views. But the 8 is a lucky number to the Chinese. And Cupertino happens to have quite a few Chinese residents. So they selected this. So, a little bit of input there. Sometimes you get this really nice piece, and hopefully it has no spotty history of racism and da 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 da. So I think I can be proud that it was selected and not reflect some of the unfortunate selections that we've seen in our country. So I see I have 9 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up pretty soon. I've been going off and on to watercolor. I've been a member of the Santa Clara Valley Watercolor Society, and I like to go out and do what I call plein air paintings with my fellow artists. I haven't done that in quite a long time. The last one was at Hakone Gardens in Saratoga. And I was telling Jim Thomas, who helped me with this presentation, I said, I have sold art that I have been painting on site to the people whose scene we're painting. There was one time we went to a home of a family that owned canneries in San Jose. I think it was the Gold family. That cannery no longer exists. But this was their family home, and I was painting it, and this woman came up to me and said, I like it. Could I buy it? So I sold her the painting. It was not too big. Um, and I took it to her home. It was framed. By the time I matted it and framed it and took it to her home to deliver it, and she lived up in the hills of San Jose in a stunning. It had it was like up high in the hills, and it had the stunning view of the whole valley. And on her property was a heliport. I mean, like a heliport. So this was no ordinary person. And I asked her about the heliport. She says, "Oh, yes," she said, "my husband sells helicopters internationally." So, but getting back to the painting of the family home, when I went there, she showed me a wall, and it was completely covered with the same scene of the family home that other artists had done. So I was just one of many, just, no big deal in her case. But what I said to Jim is I should have charged her a lot more if I had known this woman was so wealthy. In any case, the other interesting one I painted and sold was to the owner of the last dairy farm in San Jose. He was going to sell out to developers to build housing, and he was going to move to Central Valley where it was a lot cheaper for his cows and himself. So I painted his barn, and his barn was missing a whole lot of siding. And I said, "What happened to your barn? It's like, looks like it's really in bad shape." And he said, "Oh," he said, "I gave the lumber to the San Jose Repertory to build stage sets." So that's what happened to part of his barn. But he was very nice. He told me that when he moved, that I could come to his dairy in Central Valley and paint whatever he had there. That was very nice of him. So it's kind of interesting to be that kind of artist. Fine artist, it's called. Most fine artists starve. I think I would have starved too. Good thing I'm a librarian. So, so I think I'm 5 minutes before the presentation. So I hope you're gathered. I was told by Jim that I should, look at my chat page, but I don't see it on my shared screen. So Jim,
Yes.
here I'm chatting to myself. Let's see. I don't see the chat or the
Okay.
Q&A, so I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, you may
What's
want to
that?
stop sharing screen.
Stop sharing screen. Okay. Did I stop?
Now go down to your green button on, oh no, you need to go up to the top where it says stop share or,
You are screen sharing. Stop video. Is that it? No. Oh,
I might be able to do this for you.
do pause share. Is that it? No. I don't see us. I only see stop video, but doesn't that mean oh, here it is. I see stop share. Okay.
There you go.
I did the stop share.
Okay, so one of the things that I can do, although we have somebody there that's on the telephone, but one of the things I can do is I can bring people into this area so everybody can see everybody.
Okay, so I see 5 comments on the chat. So I can see you, but you can't see me. Oh, I hope we corrected that. You need to share your screen. I think I don't see any comments. So either everybody fell asleep on me or they've left the building. Whatever. Okay. So are we ready for Q&A? If anybody's left, that is. I see there's 6 attendees here. Hi, Bonnie. Oops, Bonnie, could you unmute if you have a question? Hi,
There
Anne.
it is. Okay. Oh, are you talking to? Oh, okay. If Bonnie, it's okay to spread your wings past disciples. You were apologizing for being with other denominations and disciples,
Yes, but you know, the difference is they paid me cold cash. Haha. Not a lot of cold cash. I would have starved to death as an artist.
yeah. Well, there were so many fascinating things. Especially when it came to when you were working as a young artist, not even knowing what you were really drawing, that would make so much attention to your boss, you know,
Oh,
and you gave from your heart, Shirley.
let's hope so. So,
I don't have too many questions.
oh, that's okay. It's nice that you came on, Bonnie. I appreciate it. So everybody, Bonnie is a member of Forest Hill Christian Church in San Francisco. I go to 2 churches. Some people like crazy like that. And Bonnie is one of the church members from there. But
Now
most,
the Confederate flag, the Confederate sculpture.
hey,
Is
what are
what
you talking about Confederate flags, Bonnie? You're African American.
it says. You did a Confederate sculpture.
No, I did.
There was a Confederate something that in your Cupertino, it had a loop, and then it was Chinese 8 bot, the 8
Oh
number,
yeah, the modern stainless steel thing.
and it looked like St. Louis. I drew a picture of it, but
Oh yeah. St. Louis has an arch. That's a different
was
thing.
that was that considered a Confederate
No.
sculpture?
Most of the Confederate statues are actual Confederate heroes that were torn down.
And
Like
in Cupertino, you were
General Robert E. Lee got, torn down and others. But this one is modern and it's non-representational. So it should stand the test of time, unless somebody really hates modern stainless steel stuff.
It was beautiful. I'd never seen it before. Thank you so much.
Hi, Sarah. Do you have any questions? I see your cat. Oh, you know what? I thought I had a picture of. I used to have an exhibit at my veterinary's office of cats because I used to try to do cat portraitures. I only got one person to actually buy my skills, so I was not successful. Not successful as a cat portraiture artist. So Hi, Anne. You have a question or comments? Oops, you want to unmute, Anne?
Okay, there we go. I thought I had it unmuted, but I guess it went back somehow. Anyway, I don't have a question, but it was interesting hearing your presentation and about your life. And
Oh,
so I've learned a lot.
well, thank you for being part of it. So, Walter, have any comments or questions?
I put my comment in the chat box. I was hoping for a lesson in paper crane making.
You know what? That paper.
One-handed paper crane making.
Actually, what happened with that paper crane segment of the description is originally Monica Cross asked people if they would like to do webinars, and I gave her some suggestions, and one of them was the paper piece cranes, and for some reason it ended up paper piece cranes is still in the description, and I do have a video presentation at Forest Hill Christian Church. They have a events page, and there's a video there of me demonstrating paper peace cranes for 12 minutes. And I also talk about nuclear weapons abolition, which is that was the whole concept of that particular project. The cranes, this women's peace group I belong to, it's called Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. They got thousands of peace cranes already made by Hibashka. The Hibashka are the survivors of the atomic bomb from Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So they wanted to give it to everybody and say, you know, please, we don't need any more weapons. We need peace. So that was what the peace crane thingy was about. It had nothing to do with the other stuff I talked about. So, did I explain myself well enough, Walt?
I just want a link to the video of you
Paper cranes?
doing the paper crane.
Tableofmanycolors.org. Tableofmanycolors.org is the same church as Forest Hill Christian Church, but they've jazzed up the website and are transitioning to the new name, tableofmanycolors.org. And it'll be on the events page. There's 4 people with 4 different presentations. Ralph Morant talks about race relations. I talk about peace cranes and nuclear abolition. And Jerry Brock, who's a minister, does cooking lessons. And we have one more person. Oh, yes, we have Nick Levis, who's also a pastor at that same church. It's like there's 20 people and 3 pastors. Like, give me a break. How do they afford like
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
But Nick's presentations are on meditation. He's a Buddhist monk as well as a disciples minister. So very interesting perspective. So I don't want to neglect Carl. Thank you for being. You know, you're the only person I don't remember meeting. The rest of these people I know through churches.
No, you don't know me. I know Walter. So
Walt Hudson, everybody sort of knows.
I was you quite a life for a librarian.
Yes, I have a degree from UC Berkeley.
Yeah, do you know anybody that would do wall murals, exterior?
Excuse me?
A wall mural, an exterior wall mural, like almost graffiti on a church wall.
I've not done a wall mural. I've just done inside a women's bathroom. They won't let me out of the bathroom. So what can I say? I'll never get to the exterior, I'm afraid. I'm too old for one thing to do murals.
Yeah.
Fear of heights, you know.
Yeah, that one would be pretty big. There was, we were looking to do one in our peace garden.
Oh, really?
Exterior wall of our church, and to kind of relate the Peace Garden theme on the wall.
Oh, so which church is that?
We're in Vallejo, First Christian Church of Vallejo.
Okay. You know, it might be a good opportunity for a young person.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're willing to pay a nominal amount, but you can contact like your local colleges and see if you can find somebody
Full
who
college, okay.
might probably an ex-con who was youth offender who might have been doing graffiti will do a fantastic job for you.
I imagine so.
So, you know, I really think that people who do art, it's like a compulsive behavior. Like there's a very famous artist named Banksy. Nobody knows what he looks like. He's famous, worldwide famous. He's British, I think. And he does fantastic stuff that's on the walls. You know, randomly, he will paint things on walls and inside of buses and trains. And I mean, it's like he's considered a graffiti artist. He's very famous. I don't know who pays him because he's anonymous. Nobody really knows what he looks like. And that's the way he likes it.
I was going to say, probably likes it that
Either that or go to jail.
way.
So,
Okay,
you know,
One more,
I
Barbara? One more? I mean, Shirley, one more
what?
question? Can I ask
Yeah.
one more question, Bonnie?
Sure.
Thank you. I wanted to bring up the clown ministry that Barbara Duckett was our clown at Forest Hill Christian Church
Oh,
for
really?
years. Yes, she introduced us. That had to be the 80s or 90s that
Yep.
clown.
It was the 80s. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember. Thank
Oh.
you.
Yeah, that's that one had a theme. It was that ministry didn't last that long, unfortunately.
It did at our church. It
Yeah.
lasted long enough to have
Yeah, I
young
think so.
teenagers dancing with a clown. It was
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm. So I guess a lot more people signed up than actually showed up, which is like that's how it is in Zoom conferences. And since I'm not a famous Banksy type person, you know, it's okay. I usually do hands-on art demonstrations, and I usually work with people and provide the supplies. And so it's like this is not very typical to do a presentation. A lot of artists are not very articulate, you know, it's not our skill set. So for me, it's kind of an interesting opportunity to show a little bit about myself, but really, I think everybody has some kind of skill or talent that, you know, and a lot of that, those are called strengths. You know, you're born with certain abilities, and then later on, maybe sometimes it becomes your career, sometimes it doesn't. But God, if you put God in the mix, you should be able to use that skill in some way that He is in the mix and He is glorified. So, you know, I'm not any big, as far as I'm concerned, my purpose for doing this was really, I was hoping to reach more young people. So I'm afraid some of you are not young. Neither
I'm
am
young.
I. Yikes.
I'm 18. I'll
Hey,
always be.
Donnie, you don't even have a photo. You've just got a big B there.
Oh, you all don't see me?
How could you be 15 when you've been married 16 years?
I didn't know you couldn't see my face. I spent all that time getting made up for nothing. And my hair done? Oh, wow.
But what happened? I don't know why I can't
I
see.
don't know. I'm
You're
lucky to be
beautiful.
here.
Don't worry about it. Every time I look at you, I'm jealous.
Yeah, but I see everybody else. Hello, everybody else. I'm Bonnie.
So I think you might know Ann Willard.
Yeah, I know. I recognize a few people there. Yeah. I've been to, again, you did a lot of banners for Selamar and Mission Springs. And I came right after the pomegranate.
Boy.
I didn't know it was you.
Oh, I don't think they even ask people to do any artwork anymore. I don't know. I haven't, it's not it's kind of, maybe I was in an unusual time. I don't know.
Yeah, they did a lot of sculpturing, and there's themes. I don't know about the past 2 years, but there's themes. But that was very detailed artwork that you did.
Yeah, but I think there's a place for the visual arts in religion and faith. I think you can incorporate them. For me, using my skills for the church has been fun.
And you're gonna be heard.
So, I mean, it's because that's where my skill set is, and I've got a place to do it. So
That's absolutely right. So you're not done yet. We still appreciate you. Thank you very much.
I'm just about done. Toasted, actually.
Well, I saw the pictures.
Oh,
It was just nice to see. And I have you in my bathroom.
wait a minute. A bathroom again? I mean, what is it that you have in your bathroom? That's
Everybody
mine.
goes there, so they might as well look at your artwork. It's
You have
beautiful.
what?
You have trust in the Lord you gave me a silk.
Oh, yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Did I give you one of these?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Shirley. Yes.
So
That's
this
it.
one was a little too wordy. But what
That's
I
my
used to
favorite.
do, I used to give, these are called shikishi boards.
Beautiful.
This one is the fancy frame. I didn't give everybody a fancy frame made of brocade because I don't have that many. But
I didn't get
these
that.
shikishi boards are very inexpensive. They're kind of silvery gold on one side and the other side is white. So I would paint something on the bottom and then I would put a Bible verse on the top. And I guess Bonnie, did I give you something?
Yes, you gave me my favorite Bible verse. Trust in the
See?
Lord. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lead not to thine own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path.
You mean to say I put all those words on this little skinny board?
Yes.
A little more brief in the future, Bob.
Okay.
Like, the next one I'm going to do, you know what it'll say? Love.
No.
God is love.
That'll do it. Everybody agree.
John.
200 order.
Okay, so since there's only a few of you, I will do make the same offer. If you would like a shikishi board with your favorite Bible verse and some artwork, that I will be happy to do it for you. So what you can do is you can put it on chat, your favorite Bible verse, your name. Oh, hello, Christine. Tina, we're having a Q&A. Would you like to?
Oh, hi. I
Hi,
had
Tina.
some people over for dinner, so I couldn't join till now.
No
But
problem.
I'm glad you guys recorded it. And
Yep.
yeah.
So Tina is a co-pastor at Orchard Valley Church in Sunnyvale.
Hello.
She's the only one who really asked me to do anything with art. And I think the last time I lent her some easels. So that's the extent of my art with Orchard Valley.
You're very, very talented, and we would love to see more of your art and support it. But
Yes.
I already go to 2 churches.
I know.
Actually,
Well,
I went to 3 churches. I also went to Disciple Net Church and online, but that's
We're all in the
3
body of
churches is a
Christ.
little excessive. I think I better not go to too many churches. Get to know the people I go to. So anyway, I'm making the same offer. If you put it on the chat, your favorite verse, you can just put the Bible.
Why isn't my face showing?
I don't know, Bonnie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be quiet.
That's okay. So, Tina, I was just offering to everybody who wanted to. I make art with a favorite Bible verse or favorite quote. and I give it to people. And the price is free. So this one says, the grass withers and the flowers fall, but the word of our God endures forever. Isaiah 48. This happens to be one of my favorite verses, but I sure couldn't quote it without looking at it. And it's actually in the Bible that I use, the American Revised Standard Version. And this is actually on the frontispiece. So it's kind of important to those few of us who kind of love studying the Bible. So
Amen.
actually, I go to about 2 Bible studies also. I go to an online one that's actually the Obra Hispana ministry. Fortunately, most of the time, they have a Spanish version, and every other week they have an English version of that Bible study, Obra Hispana. And I go to the English one. In fact, it's tomorrow at 8 in the morning. God help me. Why do they have it 8 in the morning? But
Shirley, I'm on now. I figured it out.
Hey, hi, Bonnie.
Hi, everybody. Yeah. Hi, Shirley.
You figured it out. I couldn't help you.
I know. Sorry, but I'm here now.
It's good to see you, Bonnie.
I know, it's good to see you. I'm
So I
tired of
don't
looking
have
at
to
that.
make that. Bonnie said I already made one of those for her, so I don't
Yeah.
even remember asking you. So that goes to show I don't know very much about.
You do it from the heart, and that's what I appreciate, really.
So you can go to my website and give me that information if you're interested in my giving you a piece of art.
Beautiful.
Silks, SILKS 442 @gmail.com. I can actually, since there's like 2, 6, there's only 6 of you, so that shouldn't be hard to remember. I think I might have almost all of your email except for Carl, maybe. So I do get Christina's. I don't know who's. I guess it must be Gain Wong who sends all those notices about the church activities, right?
Or Ron, usually one of the two.
Oh, Ron Wong. That church, everybody else, every other person in that church's last name is Wong.
Easy.
Okay.
Amen. Family.
What's that?
It's all in the family. We're all together in this world. I think it's beautiful.
Okay. So is anybody interested? I will make cats for you, Sarah. Since I know that's your interest.
Put my verse in the chat. Did you see it?
Around the Christmas season, I'd like to purchase some from you, Shirley, to give to other people. Is that a possibility, or are you retired?
I'm never retired if people are interested in, something that helps to inspire them.
Yeah. In this day and age, we need some inspiration still.
I think what you need is something that uplifts you through the day. So I don't know that it has to be Bible verses, but something that cheers you up or something like that. So
do you see mine, Shirley?
Oh, okay, hold on. Did you put it in chat or?
I did.
Let me see. I think I saw something go by that was Micah 6:8.
That's me.
Oh,
yes.
that's you. Micah 6:8. I love Micah 6:8.
Well, that is my mom. It's her
What?
favorite verse.
Who is the favorite verse?
That's Carl. My mother's favorite verse.
Oh, really?
So I want to
Yeah,
send it to her.
show thee, O people, what does the Lord require of thee? To do justice and to love mercy.
Love
and
kindness.
walk
Walk humbly.
and walk. See, Bonnie knows the Bible a whole lot better than me, but then she was born. I was born to immigrant parents who practiced a Chinese ancestor worship. And I said to myself, wait a minute, I never met those relatives. How can I worship them? I do know Jesus a little better through the Bible. So I do not practice my mother's religion. So I'm glad, Carl, that you were able to have that experience. But for me, it was incense burning, whiskey chicken as an offering to my dead sisters, whom I'm supposed to pray to. Yeah. So I'm really actually very glad to be a Christian for many reasons, not the least of which is I think my belief system is pretty personal. I mean, I kind of know him. Mhm. So what are you making, Tina? Looks like you're cooking away.
I'm doing the dishes.
Doing the
I'm
dishes.
enjoying just being with you guys.
I had my husband do the dishes. He's lousy at it, but I don't want it. Better than
Shirley,
nothing.
I gotta go.
Excuse me? So Carl,
I gotta go. Bye.
you got help with
Guys, I'm gonna
okay,
get going.
so not
too.
Micah 6:8. I know, I love that verse. Of course, the only one who can quote it is Bonnie, but heck with that.
Well, we know the song as well.
He has
We know
shown
the song.
thee, O people, what is good.
Well, that's another one.
Bye.
It was really nice seeing some of your stuff that you've made. Some of your art.
Absolutely.